Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Myself, Dr. Yogita Patil, and my topic is watershed management. Before going for details of watershed management, let us have a look towards the need of the watershed management. The answer lies in the present situation of rains. As India receives northwest monsoon, it is erratic and uneven. Currently, in North India, there is a flood situation, while in our state, we are experiencing drought. So, this disparity has to be tackled with the help of watershed management. Watershed management is an attempt to minimize the adverse effects of either drought prone conditions or flood situation. So, let's have a look towards definition. What is watershed? Watershed is basically an area which receives rainfall and collects it and drains it to a common outlet. मराठीत याला आपण पाणलोट क्षेत्र असं म्हणतो. It is a geohydrological unit which receives water in the form of precipitation and drains it to common outlet. The common outlet may be a stream, which may be a river, or maybe another bigger stream. So, from this point of view, all part of the earth is a part of one watershed or other. And it is bounded by a drainage divide. पाणलोट क्षेत्र म्हणजे एका भागात मिळणारा पावसाचं पाणी, जमा होणारं पावसाचं पाणी, आणि ते पाणी एखाद्या नदी वाटे किंवा एखाद्या ओढ्या वाटे, म्हणजे जो कॉमन स्ट्रीम असेल, मोठा स्ट्रीम असेल, त्याच्यातून ते पाणी त्या भागातून बाहेर वाहून नेलं जातं. तर अशा क्षेत्राला आपण पाणलोट क्षेत्र असं म्हणतो. This is a figure of hydrological cycle or water cycle. It includes processes like evaporation, transpiration, that is loss of water from plant leaves. Again, this vapor get condensed and comes back to the earth's surface in the form of precipitation. This water again recharges to water bodies and also groundwater. So while planning a watershed management, one must take into account these cyclic processes of water cycle. Then watershed management. Here we will see definition of watershed management. Watershed management is nothing but conservation of soil and water by making use of land surface and vegetation. That is, we use land surface and vegetation as a means to conserve soil and water for long-term benefits of the society as a whole. It is a holistic approach. It is comprehensive. It does not focus only on a single area or single resources, but it includes many resources. That is, it is multi-resource management and planning process which aims to balance ecological, economic, and social conditions of the particular area which we have selected as a watershed. Multi-resources means it focuses not only on soil and water, but also the forestry in the area, the cultivation or crops in the area, the dairy and other forest-based industries, the livestock, and many other resources. Watershed management includes management of all these resources for a well-being of the society. Am I audible?
Yes, madam, we are getting.
Yes, madam, we are getting.
Okay. Earth system. These are the spheres of the Earth system. These are four spheres, that is atmosphere. Everybody knows about atmosphere. Then biosphere. It comprises of all the living things. Then geosphere. Geo means Earth. It includes all the earth material, that is soil, rocks, minerals, sediments, and hydrosphere. That is all the water bodies, subsurface water as well as surface water, including ice. All these spheres are in constant interaction with each other, and a constant exchange has been taken place between all these spheres. So, when we plan for a watershed management, we must take into account the interaction between these earth systems. It is a simple diagrammatic representation of a watershed. Here we can see a main stream and its tributaries. Again, these tributaries have sub-tributaries. All these, it is collectively called as a drainage system of the particular area. Drainage system here refers to the network of tributaries. It does not refer to the sewage system as we generally use it in common manner. Here it refers to, it is a geological word, drainage system, and it refers to the network of tributaries present in a particular area. So if we take an example of Kolhapur, here Panchaganga is the main tributary. It has again made up of 5 rivers, which are the tributaries of Panchaganga, and again each river has its sub tributaries. So together all these tributaries constitute one drainage basin or one watershed of Kolhapur district. Now classification. We generally classify watershed depending upon its size, shape, and land use pattern. Here the classification is presented based upon the area of the watershed. If the area is very large, that is, it is greater than 50,000 hectares, it is called macro watershed. The area ranging between 10,000 to 50,000 hectares is sub watershed. The watershed having area between 1,000 to 10,000 hectares is milli watershed. If the area ranges between 100 to 1,000 hectares, it is micro watershed. And a very small area, that is between 10 to 100 hectares, is called mini watershed. So, for ideal planning of watershed management, the area should be in range of 1,000 to 2,500 hectares. Now, objectives. As we have seen earlier, it is a multi-resource management and it is a holistic approach. So, as its objectives are, that is production of food, fodder, and fuel. It aims at making the area self-sufficient. Then, pollution control. It aims to minimize pollution of water bodies, groundwater, aquifers, soil pollution, and overall pollution of the area. Then overexploitation of resources, especially water resources. We always overexploit surface water as well as the groundwater resources also has been overexploited. If we go deeper and deeper up to 500 feet, even then we can't get water many times in many districts of Maharashtra and even in India also. It indicates overexploitation of groundwater. So here the aim is to minimize this overexploitation. Then water storage, that is the water which get wasted in the form of runoff. We should minimize the runoff and store this water. It also leads to flood control, and important is checking sedimentation. Sedimentation is siltation of the reservoir. Here the loss is double. That is, when the flood occurs, we also lose valuable water resource, as well as it also erodes the soil, and that soil gets deposited in the reservoir, reducing its storage capacity. So we must check all these problems, and that is one of the major objectives of watershed management. Then wildlife conservation, erosion control and prevention of degradation of soil and water, and finally employment generation through industrial development like dairy industry or fishery production and so on. These are main objectives of watershed management. These are three important spheres of integrated watershed management. That is, we have inputs from environment, that is water, biodiversity, checking its pollution, aquatic habitat, geology of the area, climate change. All these are crucial factors which needs attention from environmental point of view, because all these factors affect economy and society. From economical point of view, manufacturing or various industries are important. Agriculture, hydropower generation, transportation, forestry, tourism, all these are depend on the environmental factors. Then society also depends on the other two for its livelihood, that is, and basic needs, that is drinking water, flood risk, recreational facilities, waste management, and land use. So for integrated watershed management, the interaction between all these three spheres is very crucial. Components of watershed. First component is, as we have seen, it is mainly soil and water conservation. Water conservation includes water harvesting and water management. It includes both management of surface water as well as subsurface water, that is groundwater. For this management, we have to focus on three processes to protect water quality. That is water capture, that is capturing the rainwater, then storage of this captured water, and release of this water as per the need. And it includes optimum use of water. So these three are main components of watershed. This is a typical watershed. All natural factors of watershed are seen in this diagram. The major factor is forest or vegetal cover, then drainage network, that is streams and its tributaries, wetlands, then groundwater aquifer, and valley floor. That is the topography of the area. Topography means the geomorphological features present in a particular area, which may be a hilly area or there may be a plateau, whatever it may be. It will contribute in watershed management. So this is a typical watershed. Now let's have a look towards steps in watershed management. First is recognition phase, then restoration phase, protection phase, and improvement phase. As we plan any strategy, whether it may be about any organization or about any industry, same is the case with the watershed management. It also goes through all these steps. A link has been provided here. Due to time constraint, I can't play this video at this time, but those who are interested can watch it later on. So the steps of watershed management. First is preparation of base map for survey of watershed. First, we have to delineate the area which will be undertaken for watershed management. Then, reconnaissance survey of the watershed, that is identifying the basic or characteristic features of the particular area, is the next step. Then, assessment of rainfall pattern, it is very important to note down or to assess the rainfall of the particular area, whether it receives a heavy rainfall or rainfall is meager. That is very crucial factor. Then preparation of soil maps, that is identification of soil types. Then classification of land for various uses like land covered under agriculture, forestry. Then study of land uses and farming patterns prevailing in the particular area, whether it is under cash crop production. Then appraisal of existing agricultural produce and identification of potential markets. All these are the roadmap for watershed management. Here a map is presented as an example. It is called the base map of the particular area, so that we can get basic idea about the area. It is a vegetation map. Here we can see the area covered under deciduous forest, area covered under shrubs, area covered under agricultural land or semi-evergreen forest. Then this is land use map. Here we can see the land, percentage of land covered by agriculture, covered by settlement or township, covered by forest, water bodies present in the particular area. This is a soil map. It demarcates different kinds of soil present in the area, which has been chosen as a watershed, because the hydrological properties of soil are very, very important from the point of view of conservation of water. So we must identify the type of soil, whether it is lateritic or it is black cotton soil, or it is medium thick, medium black soil, or coarse shallow soil, and so on. Further steps include geohydrological surveys to delineate areas suitable for groundwater development. If we choose an area for watershed management, the whole area is not suitable for major which to be implemented for groundwater development. So we must identify the key areas where we must apply measures for groundwater development. For that purpose, groundwater survey or geohydrological surveys are very essential. Then study of engineering projects should be done. That is, whether there are small dams or KT or the existing engineering projects present in the area. After identification of goals, the next step is identification of goals. We have to devise a strategy. That strategy too has a deadline. That is, it should be a time bound plan to achieve each goal. The goals may be like groundwater recharge, afforestation, soil conservation, and so on. In the next part, prioritization of these goals is very essential, because suppose we are facing a water crisis, acute water crisis, then our foremost goal should be groundwater recharge instead of afforestation or soil conservation. So accordingly, according to the area of needs of the particular area, we should prioritize our goals. Then assessment of social cost and benefit, that is cost benefit analysis should be done. And final step is control and improvement of the plan. We must check whether our strategies are working in desirable direction or not. While devising a strategy, water resource development plan is a vital part of watershed management, because it throws light on efficient ways for water storage, that is both surface as well as subsurface water storage, soil moisture conservation, groundwater recharge technique. So all these or harvesting technique. All these are very important from point of view of water conservation. These are some examples of watershed management programs according to its major goals. The first is drought prone area program. The year was 1970-71. Then desert development program. The year of implementation was 1977-78. Then National Watershed Development Program for Rainfed Agriculture, म्हणजे पावसाच्या पाण्यावर अवलंबून असणारे जे काही शेती आहे, म्हणजे आपण खरीप हंगाम जो म्हणतो शेतीचा, तर त्या दृष्टीने वॉटरशेड डेव्हलपमेंट प्रोग्राम एक राबवण्यात आलं होतं इन द इयर 1986-87. Then control of shifting cultivation, the year of implementation was 1986-87. And another one is World Bank assisted integrated watershed development project. It was implemented during year 1990. So these are examples of some of the watershed management programs. Watershed management practices can be implemented in two terms, that is in terms of purpose and in terms of method and accomplishment. In terms of purpose, the purpose may be varied as per the need of the particular area, that is to increase infiltration, to increase water holding capacity, to prevent soil erosion. Method of accomplishment are different, that is vegetative measures, tree cropping, pasture cropping, or engineering measures like contour bunding, terracing, construction of dams, providing vegetative barriers, and so on. Now we will see components of watershed management. The first and foremost component is land, because we use land as a means for conservation of soil and water. So we must know the type of land and its characteristic features. That is the slope of the land, its texture, its moisture holding capacity, infiltration rate, soil capability. All these factors must be taken into account. And accordingly, we can apply measures to improve it. These are some of the measures, that is vegetative measures, structural measures, production measures, and protection measures. So before going for measures, we must know the type of land. So according to the characteristics of land, it has been classified into 7 categories. The category first is an ideal land. It is almost level, having minimum erosion, and it can be used for agricultural, pasture, forest, for all purposes. It can be used. Class 2, here the soil has some limitations or land has some limitations. That is, it is slightly sloping, it faces slight erosion, but this can be corrected, and this land also can be used for cultivation, raising pastures, forests, etc. Then class 3, here these limitations become more severe than in class 2. That is, slope and erosion are higher than in class 2. Waterlogging problem may be there. Then class 4 land, here also the limitations prevailing in class 3 get severe, and it requires careful management and conservation practices. But of course, it is difficult to correct the drawbacks of this land. And this land can be used only for forestry or growing pasture. Then class 5, here cultivation is not feasible due to one or more limitations like excessive climate conditions, or wetness. Then class 6, this land is also unsuitable for cultivation and its use is limited only to the pastures or forest and vegetal cover. Then class 7, here the condition of the land has been deteriorated so much that it is cannot used even for pasture improvement. And class 8, it is completely bad land having rocky outcrops or marshes, म्हणजे आपण दलदलीची जमीन जी म्हणतो ती, or deserts or land under mining, and it is nearly a barren land, म्हणजे पूर्णपणे पडीक असणारी जमीन ज्याच्यावर काही उगवू शकत नाही अशा प्रकारची जमीन हे क्लास 8 मध्ये येते. So it is necessary to identify the type of land before going for applying different measures. Am I audible?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. So vegetative measures. The vegetative measures are very primary or basic types of measures, that is using different vegetation or its practices like contour farming or strip cropping or terracing. All these measures are used to prevent soil erosion. These measures are very effective to check soil erosion. Also, another advantage of these measures is it is cost effective and can be practiced on individual basis. Structural or engineering measures. This includes bunding, terracing, check dams, and other engineering structures to minimize the erosion. It is especially applied where vegetative measures are ineffective. Means, according to the class of the land, we have to change our measures. Structural measures are effective, but they involve huge expenditure and hence they cannot be applied on individual basis because they require proper site selection, proper design and construction. Hence, generally, they are practiced on government level. Then production measures, these are also similar to vegetative measures, that is mixed cropping, strip cropping, cover cropping, crop rotation, cultivation of shrubs and herbs, control cultivation, tillage method, use of improved variety of seeds, and so on. The objectives of this measure is to enhance production potential of the land either by conserving the soil or enriching the nutrient status. Means the focus is on conserving the soil. If it is not always possible, then the focus is on enriching the nutrient status of the present soil. Then protective measures, these are also similar to engineering or structural measures like implementation of gully plugging structures, runoff collection structures, landslide control structures. We have seen wire gauges which are used to prevent landslide. So adoption of this measure depends on the land characteristics, especially local land characteristics. The land characteristics prevailing in a particular locality should be taken into account while implementing this protective measure. The next part is or next component is water management. After land management, we will go for water management. So our aim is to minimize the runoff. Runoff म्हणजे जे पावसाचं पाणी वाहून जातं तर ते पाणी वाहून जाणं आपल्याला मिनिमाइज करायचंय आणि त्या पाण्याचं आपल्याला जास्तीत जास्त वापर करायचा. आपल्याकडे 4 महिने पाऊस असतो आणि उरलेले 8 महिने बिनपावसाचे असतात. तर याचा उद्देश असा आहे की ते पाणी साठवून उरलेल्या म्हणजे ड्राय सीझन मध्ये आपण ते वापरू शकतो. So it can be done by constructing the structures like ponds, reservoirs, शेततळी वगैरे आपण ऐकलेला असेल शब्द शेततळी किंवा पाहिलेली पण असेल किंवा रिझर्वायर. After conserving the rainwater, its efficient use either to crop production or other farm operations also plays very significant role in water management. So irrigation is a key issue in water management. The selection of most suitable irrigation method, which again depends on type of crop, type of soil, land topography, means whether the land is generally level or plain or it has a slope, then availability of water in the area. All these factors need to be taken into account. Then irrigation methods, especially drip irrigation, should be encouraged to avoid the loss of water. These are some of the water management measures: rainwater harvesting, groundwater recharge, maintenance of water balance, preventing water pollution, and economic use of water. This is a link provided for another video. Those who are interested can watch it. So, rainwater harvesting. It is one of the major techniques for water management. It can be done on individual basis, that is for a small house or for a residential building, or it can be done on large scale also. So the appreciable amount of precipitation is generally lost as surface flow, or it is called as runoff in hydrogeology. So it can be harvested and stored for useful purposes like drinking and irrigation. It is the most significant means of water management. Here we have to design and construct the suitable structures as per our need. Here rainwater harvesting can be done in the form of surface water storage. That is, we can store water on the surface also, and we can store it below the surface also. That is subsurface also, by using different practices of tillage, like conservation tillage, zero tillage. It can be achieved depending upon the moisture content of the top layer of the soil. If the quantum of the rainwater is very high, then the part of that water gets percolate to the lower soil profile and joins the water table. It is called as groundwater recharge. If the amount of rain or precipitation is limited, then the water can reach only to the top surface of the soil. But if it is higher, then it can account for groundwater recharge. These are some simple rainwater harvesting structures: percolation tanks or pits, पाझर तलाव असं म्हटलं जातं त्याला. Then farm ponds, जे शेततळी, bunds and terraces, reservoirs, community tanks. Then biomass management. Biomass management is also a crucial part of watershed management. After soil or land management, water management, we will go for biomass management. It includes biomass regeneration. Biomass is nothing but renewable organic material that comes from plants and animals, like wood, crops, manure, and so on. So its regeneration is very important to make the area self-sufficient. Its sources are forest, hence forest management and conservation is necessary. Then plant protection and development of social forestry, increasing productivity of animals, especially livestock. Then employment generation activities, coordination of health and sanitation programs, eco-friendly lifestyle, and so on. Here, soil management has been included again to stress its importance. The soil management, soil is very crucial from point of view of percolation of groundwater and also for productivity. Hence, it must have due attention to minimize the runoff amount, to prevent soil loss or soil erosion, for having better crop yield. The water holding capacity of the soil can be improved by adding organic matter or manure in the soil. When the rate of erosion, especially when the slope of the land is very high, the rate of erosion is also higher. So, very attentive measures should be implemented there to check the erosion. For that purpose, again, agronomical measures or structural measures should be implemented as per the need. Let's have a look towards a case study of watershed management, which have been implemented very successfully, and it becomes a yardstick for such watershed management programs. Maharashtrian people know the name of Pure Bazar. It is a semi-arid village which was facing drought conditions throughout the year. The water resources ran dry and the land became unproductive. Also, they were facing acute water crisis. Their traditional water storage system like wells or borewell has been ruined. The area of the village is about 1,000 hectares, out of which 800 hectares is cultivable. The area received or the district receives rainfall of 579 millimeter, which is as usual erratic and uneven. Due to this drought prone condition, there were problems like poverty and migration to cities. Afterwards, under the leadership of Popotrao, who won the Gram Panchayat elections in 1989, they took inspiration from the nearby village Ralegan Siddhi and undertook watershed development program. They prepared a 5-year plan so that they can participate in Adarsha Gaon Yojana. An integrated model of development with water conservation and its core was adopted by that village. As a result of this planning, they started planting of trees on forest land. They imposed ban on grazing in these areas. They started regenerating degraded village forests and catchment areas and restored watershed ecosystems. The village was divided into 3 micro watersheds for this purpose. Instead of going for every as a whole, they divide it into 3 watersheds. The principal watershed were constructed including contour trenching and tree plantation, contour bunding, nala bunding. All these are combination of vegetative as well as structural measures. Then percolation tanks and 5 storage tanks along with 40,000 control trenches were built around the hills of the village to conserve rainwater and to recharge groundwater by minimizing runoff. Villagers took up plantation and forest regeneration activities. Through these activities, they ensured that rainwater was effectively trapped. They encouraged drip irrigation and the use of groundwater was minimized. They also imposed ban on bore wells for irrigation, use of bore wells for irrigation and water intensive crop like sugarcane and banana. As a result of all these collective efforts, the restoration of watershed has been achieved and many wells in the village began collecting enough water to increase the irrigation area from 20 hectares to 70 hectares in 1993. That is just in 4 years. The 70-hectare regenerated forest helped in creating the catchments. Due to this, the irrigated land has gone up from 120 hectares in 1999 to 260 hectares in 2006. Gross production also went up from 100 tons in 2000 to 6,000 tons in 2004. With more grass available, it leads to increasing productivity and number of the livestock. That is just from 20 in 1998 to 340 in 2003. According to government livestock census, milk production rose up from 150 liters per day in the mid 90s to 4,000 liters, which ultimately resulted in considerable reduction in poverty, increase in per capita income of the village. They also started an ideal practice of annual water budgeting since year 2002. So this is a case study of an ideal watershed management. So if we want to bridge the gap between drought and flood conditions, and if we want to optimum use of water, rainwater, for remaining 8 months, there is no other alternative which is sustainable other than watershed management. I am thankful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I am also thankful to all of you for patiently listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you so much, madam.
Wonderful presentation.
Presentation.
Now I
Now I
request dear
request dear
participants,
participants,
if you have
if you
any
have any
query,
query,
come
come
ahead
ahead
and
and
ask to
ask
madam.
to
Madam will
Madam
answer.
Lisa.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening.
Madam, which is the
Madam,
apex
which is
body
the
which
apex
is
body
assisting the
which is
watershed
assisting the
management
water
programs?
management program. Madam, you can keep your mobile on it is simple one.
Yes.
You can listen.
Yes, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Which is the
Yes, sir.
apex body which is supporting the watershed management programs? Apex body which is assisting the watershed management programs of Government of India or respective state governments.
In case of state government, it is GSDA, that is Groundwater Survey and Development Agency.
Okay.
And in case of all over India, it is CGWB.
Now, what is the role of NABARD then? What NABARD does actually?
Yes, NABARD also helps and supports the watershed management program. As we have seen some of the examples, different government agencies have been taken part in that watershed management program.
Okay.
Even we can implement it, sir, on Gram Pancayat level also.
You said that they take up only drought-prone areas. Apart from agricultural activities, are they really interested in taking up allied activities or industrial activities also under watershed management, madam?
Yes, sir. They support allied industries depending upon forest, that is dairy industry,
Okay.
or fishery industry.
So, district level, any specific authority is being assigned this job, district headquarters level, like as you rightly mentioned that some banks have taken responsibility, like NABARD, the apex body, like
Yes,
district level.
what is the apex body? And as I have said earlier, GSDA is taking an active part in it.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, madam.
मैडम आपने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया है रालेगन सिद्धि का, तो क्या रालेगन सिद्धि से को छोड़कर भी और भी कुछ एग्जाम्पल रहेंगे वाटरशेड के?
There are so many examples, sir. Just I have told Rayagan Siddhi, and the Hivre Bazar has been taken inspiration from Rayagan Siddhi, and it is very well-known example. So that is why I have chosen it. But there are many watershed programs which have been implemented so far successfully. हाँ सर, वो वाटरशेड प्रोग्राम जो है वो रायगढ़ सिद्धि का बहुत ही फेमस है, इसलिए वो एग्जांपल मैंने चूज किया था. और हिवरे बाजार जो है उन्होंने रायगढ़ सिद्धि से ही इंस्पायर होके उनके यहाँ उस विलेज में वो वाटरशेड डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम इम्प्लीमेंट किया था. और बहुत सारे ऐसे एग्जांपल्स हैं जहाँ पे लोगों ने सक्सेसफुली वाटरशेड मैनेजमेंट प्रोग्राम किया है.
धन्यवाद मैडम.
Thank you. So thank you, Dr. Badiuddin sir, Jaideep Singh sir, for your nice spirit. Madam, you answered it. So thank you very much, madam. Now I would like to request the chief organizer of the World Record Series 2, Honorable Principal M. Ambedkar sir. Sir, please welcome and have some words for us. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I would like to, now I move towards the vote of thanks. Shri Kumarswami Mahavidyalaya Ausa is organized a world record series. Today is the 127th day of the series, and the keynote speaker was with us Dr. Yogita Patil madam. Her talk about the watershed management was very sincere. Ma'am have covered all the aspects regarding the topic. Madam, in her explanation, madam have enlightened different points like watershed management, what is watershed management, then conservation of soils and matters, then earth system, its classification, objectives of watershed management, integrated watershed management, main components of the watershed management, as well as steps for the management, soil map area, types of watershed management, then vegetative measures, protective measures, components of watershed management, land classification, rainwater harvestings, and the case study of the watershed management. Means in her lecture, madam have covered. Ma'am have very nicely justice to the topic, watershed management. So I extend my sincere thanks towards you, madam, for wonderful explanations. And you paid your valuable time to us. Thanks a lot. Then I thanks to the chief organizer of the series, Honorable Principal M. Ambedkar sir. I thanks Dr. Badiuddin sir, Jaivir Singh sir, those who asked the queries in interaction session. So thanks to you, sir. And lastly, I thanks all those dear participants who joined the series on the time regularly and motivate us as well as enhance the beauty of the series. So thanks a lot to you all. And now I request all these participants, please fill the feedback link which is given in the chat box. It will be given by me within 2 minutes. So thanks to you all. And now I declare that today's session is over with the kind permission of the chief organizer of the series. Thank you very much. Bye bye. All the best.